Wall Street Week with Louis Rukeyser. Tonight's special guest is George Noble, Portfolio Manager, Fidelity Overseas Fund.
Good evening, I'm Louis Rukeyser. This is Wall Street Week. Welcome back. Tonight's special guest was compiled the #1 record among all mutual funds over the past 5 years by investing exclusively outside the United States. For some thoughts on that, let's go over now and meet tonight's special guest, George Noble. George, welcome. Pleasure to have you in this part of the world.
Pleasure to be here, Lou.
George Noble joined Fidelity Investments as a summer intern 10 years ago while still pursuing his MBA at Wharton, and he has never had another employer. After learning his trade under the brilliant Peter Lynch at Fidelity Magellan, Mr. Noble took over the Fidelity Overseas Fund, and under his stewardship, its performance has led the Lipper ratings for all mutual funds of any kind over the past 5 years. George, two things contributed to your spectacular performance over the past 5 years. One was your unique genius. The second was that the U.S. dollar was tumbling. Do you think the dollar will continue to fall against foreign currencies?
Let's put it this way. To the extent it does move, I think those movements will be less dramatic than we've seen in recent years and therefore manageable. Accordingly, I think we're better off focusing more on the markets themselves and the stocks themselves.
Do you think the Japanese market is now over for good, the bull market?
I think in the immediate term the answer is yes, and the simple reason for that is given the interest rate situation in Japan.
What do you mean, that the rates are going up there?
Yeah, you've had Japanese rates now up to around 7% on the long bond. The fact remains that price-earnings ratios in Japan, despite the decline, are still at 50 times earnings. It's just not competitive in a world of 7% interest rates.
What European stocks should investors avoid? What kinds of stocks?
I'm worried right now about cyclicals, airlines,
those tied
chemicals.
to the general economy.
Yeah, we're at the point in the cycle where you're beginning to see some earnings disappointments, and any company that's got a leveraged balance sheet in a cyclical industry could have some trouble, I think.
Hey, thanks very much, George Noble. This has been Wall Street Week. I'm Louis Rukeyser. Good night.